Okay, let's move on to section 4. Your vocational industry currency. How have you remained current in your industry? And this is really important because in the vet sector, we look at currency over a period of 2 years. So what have you done in the last 2 years that has allowed you to remain current in your particular industry? You need to record details of activities undertaken to demonstrate industry currency and how they will inform delivery of the unit. In this section, you're going to write the code and title again of your unit of competency that you are teaching. But the difference here is we're looking at currency. Previously, we were looking at competency. Now we're looking at how have you remained current in the last 2 years to teach that unit of competency. And here we have the example of BSB TC 303, create electronic presentations. And on the date of the 10th of September 2023, the type of activity that occurred was a presentation software trade show. So this person has gone to a trade show about electronic presentations. How the activity informed your teaching practice. You've got to actually outline, well, because I went to that presentation, I was able to try out new presentations, for example, Prezi, or you could use Canva, and how you have translated what you have learned into your teaching practice. So you might, for example, I use accounting, you might use the new accounting software, you went to a trade show or you went to a webinar, you put the unit that you're teaching, the date, the type of activity, and how that informed your teaching. For example, you've learned a new accounting software, so you're going to teach your students a new accounting software, which is faster, it balances it quicker, whatever the features are. But how does that translate into your teaching? And lastly, and very importantly, what evidence have you got to show that you actually went there? So that could be the webinar. You know, sometimes you get a certificate of participation, you could have the event ticket, you could have a diary entry, you could have an Outlook diary entry. You know, it doesn't matter if it's digital. If you're going to put a link in, you need to state what that link means. Don't just put links in, because when the auditors come along, they're not interested in links. They actually want to know what the evidence is. If they want to look at the link, they can. But if you went to a online webinar and just put the link, you need to put underneath webinar on new accounting software. Okay, so just don't put links in. So there, in this part of the professional teaching currency, mixing of words, vocational competency is how you have remained up to date in your industry. And Andreas, I don't know if you want to add something in there.
What I was told in my previous job when we did that, and part of it is a professional reading. So people undertake professional reading.
Yes.
And put that into the currency section of the VCM. And professional reading is great, right? But we run into problem with the evidence, because you can always say, I'll spend an hour per week doing professional reading. So what I have asked my staff I previously kind of worked with on the VCM, domestic staff, is if you do professional reading, what you need to do is you need to keep a reading log, like an annotator or like a bibliography. So whenever you read an article or you access a professional website, you record it on your log, like a diary. When you accessed it, maybe make a note, like a sentence about while it was interesting or not interesting, as the case may be, and have that reading log somewhere. So if you get audited and people say, when and what did you do in your professional reading, you can present and say, yes, in January, I read this article and this article. Here are the bibliographical details, and this is when I accessed it. Say you read it on the web, for example.
Andreas, can I just add a little bit to that?
Yes, please.
If you are doing a bibliography, it needs to be in the evidence. It's not the point being that we shouldn't be searching for it, because it could be 2:00, in the afternoon. It's got to be there by 4 and you're teaching. So the bibliography is a brilliant idea. And the other thing I'd further add to is, how did it inform your teaching practice? Why reading that for an hour a week? What benefit was it to your students? Always think about what is in it for the student. So I read this article, oh, that's very interesting. I'll tell my class about it next week because, and you have to write the reason. And that could be, as you said, 1 or 2 sentences after the link. I think that's a great idea. Thank you, Andreas. I'm going to steal that one for the next VCM workshop. Okay, anything else you'd like to add, Andreas?
No, just the professional reading bit. Thanks.
Professional reading, yeah. I think that's a good one. Or if you write papers, that's another way that directly related. If you're writing...
Yeah. So you go, Helen. Sorry, I didn't mean to...
if you're writing papers around your subject, not your job. Be careful here, not your job. If you're writing externally to Melbourne Polytechnic, that's when you can provide it as evidence. But if Andreas says, I want you to write some details on accounting, that's your job. That's what's required for Melbourne Polytechnic. So just be careful with that.
Yeah.
And Andreas?
Just if I add to that, as an example, we have a staff member in China who's teaching events management, and he just he does that. He will research a case study and hopes to publish it in a professional journal at the end of the year, and that is his main activity in the area of industry currency. So if you can, that's great, because it's great for the VCM, it's great for you, and it's also good for your general professional development and your CV and as well. So it ticks a lot of different boxes.
Yeah. Thanks, Andreas. Right, we'll get on to the last part now, section 5. This is your professional teaching currency. How have you remained up to date in the vocational education and training sector? Now, many of you, I recognise, have been going to the community of learning workshops. I'd be writing those in, absolutely. You need to put the date in, the type of activity, and how the activity informed the teaching practice. What they're looking for here is that you are staying up to date. So you're actually thinking about the teaching process. So a lot of those strategies that I taught you, if you use them in the classroom, please, you've got access to the Moodle site. So they're all keeping you up to date with the professional teaching currency. And the evidence provide evidence that show you completed the activity. I should get you out the attendance. I should send out an email to people that have attended the VCM workshops. We finished them in July, so I should do that for you. I'll get that out to you. And also, if you subscribe to training.gov.au to keep up to date with your training package, I think that's essential, absolutely essential. And also this VCM workshop here is also part of your VET currency. So Melbourne Poly is very big on, and we offer a lot around professional learning for educators. Now, the last part I want to talk to you about is types of evidence. Now, you might have a professional conversation with somebody in industry. How do you record it? How do you make sense of that? Always answer these questions. What happened in the session, learnt in the professional learning? Where did it happen? When did it happen? And who provided? Who were you with? And how did it inform my teaching practice? So, for example, if Andreas and I had a professional conversation around, I'll say the TAE because that's my space. I think, oh, that's really good ideas. I would just write up a short paragraph, or there is a template. Andreas, have they received the template on professional?
Sorry, on professional.
Oh, yeah, there's a template I sent, but that's fine. If you just write a paragraph up in your diary, that's evidence. And what did you learn from that professional conversation? What did you learn? That's the main thing. But I can't stress enough, the evidence that you need to supply is just answer these questions in your mind. What happened? Where did it happen? When did it happen? Who provided it? And how did it inform my teaching practice? And that's both for industry currency and professional learning in the vet sector. Andreas, have you got anything else you would like to add?
No, just to reiterate, with evidence, because the various sections ask for evidence or details. So it's really important to be specific in it. Like if it's professional reading, get a bibliographical kind of reference to what you actually read. Is it about mapping your qualifications against the units you teach? Go down and really look at the subjects that you learn that relate to the subjects you teach, right? So it is about being specific and not about being general in that form.
I think that's a really good point. Just think about it. If I said, and I have got a Bachelor of Business and I have got accounting, but I'm not up to date. I haven't used that for many, many, many years, my accounting. But so I couldn't complete that. I have no evidence whatsoever to support what I'm saying. So for you to remain in the classroom, you need to have vocational competency, which you all have, but you also need industry currency. Even if it's volunteer work, you help a friend, you do somebody's books. I'm using accounting as an example. That is still, you are still working on in the accounting space, and that is current evidence. Doesn't mean you have to put the books up. Don't put anything up that you don't want people to see, but you can actually write a paragraph and then have a journal entry, a self-reflection or an outlook on your diary that proves that actually occurred. Because if you don't provide evidence, AS was just going to go, it never happened, just never happened. And trust me, they do drill down on the evidence. So, Andreas, would you like to add anything more?
No, I think that's all I wanted to say about, really looking at the specificity of information.
I can't say that was, yeah.
And then before we finish off, maybe talk about timelines. If I can talk about timelines.
Yes, I was going to ask you when would you like this all in?
It's about 14th now. We've had the training, so I think if we can have a draft in, if you can send a draft to me, 7 working days. So say by Friday next week, close of business. So that will be great. And then because we're already a little bit late, in theory, it's our problem because it's a new template and we need to roll that out. But in theory, the VCM needs to be completed before teaching starts. Right? So that's the normal timeline. This year we're running a little bit late because we switched templates. So 7 days, I think, if you could send it to me by the end of next week, and use also your old VCM for those people who have put together the VCM last year on the old template. Use that as well. So don't invent the wheel. Go back to your old one, and what you can use from the old one, use what you can improve in the light of today's workshop. Please improve.
Can I just say something, Andreas, around that? Use your old information, but currency and competency were merged together in the old template. Here we have separated it. So don't just copy and paste. You have to separate competency to currency. And currency is 2 years. I can't stress that enough. 2 years, what you have done in the last 2 years to remain current.
So it's 22, 23. Nothing,
Yes.
nothing older than 2022.
22. And I'd start filling it in for this year as well, because it's a live document. Just keep going, keep being aware of it, just keep filling it in once a month. It'll make your life so much easier. I'm just going to share screen again. Andres, is that all that you want to say?
Yeah, that's all I want to say.
Look, thank you very much for attending the workshop. I'm just going to share the QR code again for people that may have missed it. If you have missed it, please, because this is our record that you have attended this workshop. We've just been checking the numbers here. Sounds like wasn't an election. We've just been checking the numbers here, and we've got 13 that have been that have QR code in. I'm just counting how many people we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. We're just missing one person. Alicia, can your friend do it as well? I can see someone hovering in the background that's listening.
No, he just joined me because I'm just finished another meeting, so I just stay here with my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did submit my
QR code?
Yes, the QR code. And could you please send us the recording of the session today?
Andres has got that, so he can send that recording.
I can do that,
Yeah.
Well, I might just stop the recording then.
Yeah. Okay.
Recording stopped.
I'll just check here. Everyone's QR code in. Oh, 16. Oh, it's more than my screen. Look, thank you very much, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you at the next Community of Learning next Thursday. So it's like I see you every week. But thank you very much for attending. Oh, and I love that heart. That's such a nice feeling. So, lovely. Oh, Camilla, thank you. Thank you. And I will see you next Thursday. Take care, everybody. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Right. Sorry, I was a bit late, Helen.
That's fine, Andres. That's fine. I think you've heard it so many times now that you could. Anyway, look, we've done the training there, and hopefully it will all work out.
Good. Yeah.
Andres, may I have some words with you just for 3 seconds?
Okay, I'll leave the meeting.
Sure.
Bye-bye. See you later, Alicia.
Thank you, Helen.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.